The cargo bay was a mess. Metal beams hung from the ceiling at wrong angles, and broken containers leaked fluids across the floor. Deho stepped carefully through the wreckage, his boots crunching on scattered debris. The pirate attack had happened 3 days ago, but he was still finding damage in the lower sections of Haven's rest station. He hated working alone in the dark sections. The emergency lights cast everything in red, making shadows dance on the walls. But someone had to check the structural integrity before they could reopen this bay. That someone was always him. Deho heard it before he saw it. A low, wet breathing sound, ragged, painful. He froze, listening. His hand moved to the wrench on his belt, though he knew it would be useless against anything actually dangerous. He should call security. That was the smart thing to do. But Deho had never been good at doing the smart thing when something was hurt. He followed the sound past a collapsed storage unit, and then he saw it. The creature was massive, even collapsed on the ground. Crushed under a fallen support beam, it was the size of a small vehicle. Black scales covered its body, gleaming like oil in the red light. Crimson markings ran along its spine, and its claws were as long as Deho's forearm. A Vrex, an actual Vrex. Deho's heart hammered in his chest. Everyone in the galaxy knew about Vrex. They were the apex predators of the known universe. 9 feet tall, built like living weapons with teeth that could tear through ship hull plating. They killed for sport. They killed for territory. They killed because that was what they were made to do. This one was dying. Blue blood pooled around the creature's crushed leg. Its breathing came in shallow gasps. One massive eye tracked Deho's movement, and the Vrex tried to lift its head. Failed. Tried again. Run. Every instinct screamed at Deho to run. Call security. Let them handle it. Let it die. That would be safer. That would be sane. Instead, Deho took a step forward. "Gwenchanha," he whispered in Korean. "It's okay." The words came automatically, the language of his childhood when he was nervous. "Gwenchanha, I'm not going to hurt you." The Vrex's lips pulled back, revealing rows of razor teeth. A warning growl rumbled from its throat. But the sound was weak, barely a threat. Deho held up his hands, moving slowly. I know you're scared. Big scary human coming at you in the dark." He laughed, a slightly hysterical sound. "Except you're the scary one. Everyone says so. But right now you just look hurt." He circled around to where the beam pinned the creature's leg. The Vrex watched him, that one eye following every movement. Deho pulled out his scanner, checking the structural integrity of the beam. It was heavy, but not load-bearing. He could move it. "This is going to hurt," Deho said softly. "I'm sorry, but I have to get this off you." He attached his hydraulic lift to the beam. The Vrex tensed, muscles coiling. Deho activated the lift. Slowly the beam rose. The Vrex snarled, a sound of pure pain. Its jaws snapped at the air, at Deho, at anything. "Gwenchanha," Deho repeated, keeping his voice calm. "Almost there." Almost. The beam cleared. Deho pulled it aside, and the Vrex lurched forward, trying to stand. Its injured leg buckled immediately. The creature collapsed with a sound that was almost like a whimper. Deho knew he should leave. Get help, do the right thing. But he looked at the creature lying there, bleeding and broken, and he thought about all the times he had been alone, all the times he had needed someone to help and no one had come. "Stupid," he muttered to himself. "This is so stupid, Deho." He grabbed the Vrex by its front legs and pulled. The creature was incredibly heavy and it fought him weakly, but Deho was strong from years of hauling cargo. He dragged the Vrex across the bay floor, leaving a trail of blue blood toward the maintenance corridors. His personal quarters were small, barely more than a room with a bed and storage. But it was his, and more importantly, it had no surveillance cameras. Station management thought the maintenance tunnels were too boring to monitor. Deho pulled the Vrex inside and sealed the door. Then he collapsed against the wall, breathing hard. The Vrex lay on his floor, watching him, waiting to see what the human would do next. Deho pulled out his emergency medical kit. It was meant for humans, but the gel-based treatments worked on most carbon-based life forms. He approached the injured leg carefully. "I'm going to touch you now," he said. "Please don't eat me." He sprayed the wound with antibacterial gel. The Vrex hissed but didn't pull away. Deho wrapped the leg in synthetic bandages, working quickly. His hands shook, but he kept going. When he finished, he sat back. The Vrex hadn't moved. It just watched him with those alien eyes. Deho's stomach growled, reminding him he hadn't eaten in hours. He pulled out his ration pack, tearing it open. Dried meat and protein bars. Not great, but it was food. He ate a protein bar and the Vrex's nostrils flared. It could smell the food. "You hungry?" Deho asked. He knew the creature couldn't understand him, but talking made him feel less insane. "Yeah, I bet you are. When was the last time you ate?" He held out a piece of dried meat. The Vrex stared at it, then at him, then back at the meat. "Take it," Deho urged. "Come on, I know you're hungry." Slowly, the Vrex stretched its neck forward. Its jaws opened, and for a moment Deho was sure he had made a terrible mistake. Those teeth could take his hand off in one bite. The Vrex took the meat gently, almost delicately. It chewed and swallowed. Deho smiled. "Good, that's good. Want more?" He fed the creature his entire ration pack, piece by piece. The Vrex ate carefully, never snapping, never threatening. When the food was gone, it laid its massive head on the floor and closed its eyes. "You need a name," Deho said quietly. "Can't just call you the thing that's going to probably kill me. How about Barum? It means wind or wish. My grandmother used to say when the wind changed, it meant your wishes were coming true." The Vrex's eyes opened briefly, looking at him. Then they closed again. "Barum it is," Deho said. He leaned back against the wall, suddenly exhausted. What had he done? He had a Vrex in his quarters. An injured, possibly aggressive apex predator. If anyone found out, he would be arrested. Or worse. But he looked at the creature sleeping on his floor and he couldn't regret it. Station alarms suddenly blared to life. Deho jumped to his feet, heart racing. Red warning lights flashed in the corridor outside. His communicator crackled. "All personnel, this is station security. A Vrelian diplomatic ship has docked. They are searching for an escaped, dangerous criminal. All sections will be searched systematically. Report any suspicious activity immediately." Deho's blood ran cold. He looked at Barum, still lying on his floor. The Vrelians were here, and they were looking for exactly what he had just saved. Deho sat against the wall of his quarters, watching Barum sleep. 3 days had passed since the Vrelians docked. 3 days of hiding, lying, and praying no one decided to search the maintenance sections. The injured leg was healing. Deho had changed the bandages twice, and each time Barum let him work without protest. It was strange. Everything he had heard about Vrex said they were aggressive, violent, impossible to approach. But Barum just watched him with those intelligent eyes and stayed still. Deho talked while he worked. It was a habit now. "You know what's weird?" he said, wrapping fresh bandages around the healing wound. "The Vrelians keep calling you property. Not a criminal. Not a prisoner. Property. Like you're a thing they own." Barum's ear twitched at the sound of his voice. "But you're not a thing, are you? I can see you thinking. I can see you understanding." Deho tied off the bandage. "So why does everyone treat you like a monster?" His communicator buzzed. Deho's heart jumped, but he forced himself to answer calmly. "Kim here. Deho, it's Jiwoo. We need to talk, Jiwoo Park, station security." Deho closed his eyes. Of all the people to get suspicious. "I'm in the middle of repairs. Can it wait?" "No, I'm outside your quarters." "Open the door." Deho looked at Barum. The Vrex had raised its head, alert. It could sense the tension. "Gwenchanha," Deho whispered. "Stay quiet. Please stay quiet." He opened the door just enough to slip outside, sealing it quickly behind him. Jiwoo stood in the corridor, arms crossed. She was in her 30s, practical and sharp. Not someone you could easily fool. "What's going on, Deho?" "Nothing. Just repairs. You know how it is." "Really?" "Because our medical supplies are missing. The good stuff. The expensive stuff that works on multiple species." Jiwoo's eyes narrowed. "And your food requisitions have doubled." "For one person." Deho's mind raced. "I've been hungry. Stress eating. The pirate attack had me worried." "Don't lie to me." Jiwoo stepped closer. "I've known you for 2 years. You're a terrible liar." "What are you hiding?" A crash came from inside the quarters. Something had fallen. Jiwoo's hand went to her weapon. "What was that?" "Nothing. Just some equipment falling." "Open the door, Deho." "I can't. Open it or I'll override the lock." Deho took a deep breath. This was it. He could keep lying, but Jiwoo would find out anyway. And if she came in thinking there was a threat, someone might get hurt. "Okay," he said quietly. "Okay, but you have to promise not to shoot. And not to scream." "Can you promise me that?" Jiwoo's expression shifted from annoyance to concern. "What did you do?" "Just promise." "Fine, I promise." Deho opened the door. Jiwoo stepped inside and her eyes went wide. Her hand flew to her weapon, but she didn't draw it. She had promised. Barum stood in the center of the small room, massive and imposing. The creature's eyes fixed on Jiwoo, assessing the threat. "That's a Vrex," Jiwoo said, her voice barely above a whisper. "That's a goddamned Vrex in your quarters. His name is Baram. His name—" Jiwoo laughed, a slightly hysterical sound. "You named it. You named the galaxy's most dangerous predator. Him, not it." Daeho moved to stand between Jiwoo and Barum. "And he's not dangerous. Well, he could be, but he's not. Not dangerous. Daeho, those things kill for fun. They're bred to fight." "They're Baram Anja," Daeho said firmly in Korean. "Sit." Baram sat. Jiwoo stared. "What did you just do?" "I asked him to sit. And he did. That's impossible. Vrex don't follow commands. They don't obey. They're apex predators." "Yeah, everyone keeps saying that." Daeho walked over to Barum, placing a hand on the creature's shoulder. Barum leaned into the touch slightly. But nobody asked them what they wanted to be. Jiwoo holstered her weapon slowly. She took a cautious step forward, studying Barum. "How long have you had him here?" 3 days. Since the Varelians arrived. They're looking for him. I know. They have legal authority. He's their property." "He's not property." Daeho's voice was firm. "He's alive. He feels pain. He understands. You can't own something like that." Jiwoo was quiet for a long moment. She circled around Barum, keeping her distance. The Vrex watched her but didn't move. "Where did you find him?" "Cargo Bay 7. Crushed under debris from the attack, dying." "So you saved him." "Wouldn't you?" "No, honestly. No, I wouldn't, because this is insane." But Jiwoo's voice had softened. She looked at Baram's bandaged leg. "You treated his wounds. He needed help. The Vrelians are searching every section. They'll be here in 6 hours. Maybe less." Daeho's stomach twisted. "I know. If they find him, they'll take him. And they'll arrest you. Possibly charge you with theft of valuable property." "I know that too." Jiwoo sighed, rubbing her face. "I should report this. It's my job to report this, but I saw what you just did. You spoke to him and he listened. That shouldn't be possible." She looked at Daeho. "What do you know about Vrex breeding?" "Just what everyone knows. They're bred in fighting rings. Combat sports. Illegal in most places, but the Vrelians still do it. They breed them for aggression, for violence. They suppress any social instincts, any pack bonding. A Vrex that could bond with a handler would be worthless in the arena. It would hesitate. It would show mercy." Daeho looked at Baram. "So they make them alone. Keep them isolated and angry." "Exactly. But this one responded to you. Which means either you're incredibly lucky or he's different somehow." "He's a person," Daeho said quietly. "That's what's different. Everyone treats them like monsters, but he's just a person who's been hurt." Jiwoo pulled out her communicator. Daeho tensed, but she held up a hand. "Relax, I'm calling someone who can help, maybe." "Who?" "An old friend. He's a smuggler, but a good one. If we're going to get your friend here off the station, we'll need a ship, and we'll need it fast." Daeho felt a surge of hope. "You're helping us?" "I'm absolutely going to regret this, but yes, I'm helping." Jiwoo's expression was serious. "But Daeho, you need to understand something. Once we do this, there's no going back. You'll be a criminal. The Vrelians won't stop looking for you. Your life as you know it is over." Daeho looked at Barum. The Vrex was watching him, head tilted slightly. And in that moment, Daeho realized something. For 3 years, he had been alone on this station. Going through the motions. Fixing things. Existing but not really living. But in 3 days with Baram, he had felt more alive than in years. "Then let's make sure it's worth it," Daeho said. Jiwoo smiled slightly. "Okay, let me make the call. And Daeho, you should probably feed your friend. If we're going to be on the run, he'll need his strength." Daeho pulled out another ration pack. Baram's eyes brightened and he made a low sound that might have been anticipation. "Still hungry?" Daeho asked, smiling despite everything. "Yeah, me too." He fed Baram piece by piece and tried not to think about what came next. Sunny's ship was small, fast, and smelled like old socks. Daeho didn't care. It had gotten them off Haven's rest station, and right now that was all that mattered. "So let me get this straight," Sunny said from the pilot's seat. He was older, maybe mid-40s, with gray starting to show in his hair. "You want me to smuggle the galaxy's most wanted Vrex past Vrelian checkpoints. To a station where half the population would love to collect the bounty on his head. Does that about cover it? Yes, Deho said, just checking. Wanted to make sure I understood how monumentally stupid this plan is. Jiwoo leaned against the wall, arms crossed. You owe me, Sonny. Remember the Antares job? I could have reported you. I didn't. I hate it when you bring up old debts. But Sonny was grinning. Fine, we'll get you to Hanara Station. After that, you're on your own. In the cargo hold, Baram shifted nervously. The space was too small for him, and the ship's vibrations seemed to bother him. Deho sat next to the Vrex, one hand on his shoulder. Gwenchana, he murmured. We're safe here. Just a little while longer. Baram pressed his massive head against Deho's side. The gesture was so gentle, so trusting that Deho felt his throat tighten. You really bonded with that thing, huh? Sonny called from the cockpit. Him. His name is Baram. Right, sorry. You bonded with him. Sonny adjusted their course. You know, I've hauled a lot of strange cargo. But a Vrex who acts like a pet, that's new. He's not a pet, Deho said firmly. Could have fooled me. He follows you around like a lost puppy. A really big, really dangerous puppy. The ship's alarm suddenly blared. Red lights flashed across the controls. Sonny cursed. We've got company. 3 ships, Vrelian signatures. They're hailing us. Jiwoo moved to the controls. Don't answer. Can we outrun them? Maybe. The ship is fast, but they've got military engines. Sonny's hands flew across the console. Everyone hold on to something. This is going to get rough. The ship lurched into acceleration. Deho grabbed a support beam and Baram dug his claws into the floor to keep from sliding. Through the small viewport, Deho could see the Vrelian ships closing in. They're charging weapons, Jiwoo reported. Sonny, I know. Sonny pulled the ship into a hard turn. Energy blasts streaked past the viewport, missing by meters. These guys really want your friend back. More ships appeared ahead of them. A blockade. Sonny cursed again, more creatively this time. We're trapped, Jiwoo said quietly. The lead Vrelian ship's commander appeared on the comm screen. He was tall, gray-skinned, with the distinctive head crest of Vrelian military elite. Unidentified vessel, cut your engines. You are harboring stolen property. Surrender the Vrex designated A773 immediately and we will show leniency. A773, Deho repeated, anger rising in his chest. That's what they call you? A number? Baram made a low growling sound. Sonny looked at Deho. Your call, kid. We can fight, but we'll lose. We can run, but we won't get far. Or we can give them what they want. No. Deho stood, moving to the comm. They're not taking him. Deho, be reasonable. Connect me to their commander. Jiwoo and Sonny exchanged looks, but Jiwoo opened the channel. The Vrelian commander's face filled the screen. Commander Keseva, Deho said, reading the name from his uniform. That Vrex you're looking for? His name is Baram. And he's not your property. Keseva's expression didn't change. Human, you do not understand what you have stolen. That specimen represents years of careful breeding. Millions of credits in investment. Return it and face only minor charges. He's not an it. He's alive. He feels pain. He understands. It understands commands because it was trained. Like training a dangerous animal. Keseva leaned forward. You think you have formed some bond? You are mistaken. When it is hungry enough or angry enough, it will kill you. They always do. You're wrong. Prove it. Keseva smiled coldly. Bring the specimen to the docking bay. Let us see this bond you claim. If it truly obeys you, walk it to our ship. If you are right, we will see the truth. If you are wrong, it will tear you apart. Either way, we retrieve our property. The comm cut off. Sonny whistled low. Well, that was ominous. It's a trap, Jiwoo said. Obviously a trap. The moment we dock, they'll take Baram and arrest all of us. Probably, Deho agreed. But an idea was forming. A risky, stupid idea. Unless we don't dock with them. What? Hanara Station is 20 minutes away at full speed. If we make a run for it, punch through their line before they can react, we'll be blown apart, Sonny finished. Not if they're afraid of damaging Baram. They want him alive. Unmarked. That's valuable property, remember? Deho looked at his friends. They won't risk destroying their investment. They'll chase, but they won't shoot. Not right away. Jiwoo considered this. It might work, but it's insane. Everything about this situation is insane, Sonny said. He cracked his knuckles. All right, screw it. Let's be insane. Buckle up, people. This is going to be the stupidest thing I've ever done, and I once smuggled live explosives through a solar storm. The ship's engines roared to full power. Sunny aimed straight for the gap between two Vrelian vessels and punched the accelerator. They're moving to intercept. Jiwoo called out, "Too slow!" Sunny laughed wildly as they shot through the gap. Energy blasts streaked around them, but none hit. "See, I told you!" They're afraid of hurting their precious cargo. The Vrelian ships wheeled around, giving chase. But Sunny's ship was faster, more maneuverable. They wove between asteroids through debris fields, pushing the engines to their limit. Hanara station ahead. Jiwoo pointed at the massive structure looming on their sensors. "We're going to make it." "Not yet, we're not. They're requesting station security to intercept us." Sunny gritted his teeth.
Hold on.
They dove toward the station, pulling out of the dive at the last possible second. Station defenses tracked them but held fire. Confused by the situation, Sunny guided the ship into an emergency docking bay, the kind used by ships in distress. The moment they landed, alarms blared. "Station security would arrive in minutes. Go," Sunny urged. "I'll handle the authorities. You two get somewhere safe and figure out your next move." Daeho and Jiwoo ran for the cargo hold. Baram was already on his feet, sensing danger. "Gara," Daeho said, "come. We need to move fast." Baram followed immediately, staying close to Daeho's side. They ran through the docking bay, into the crowded corridors of Hanara Station. People scattered at the sight of Vrex, screaming and diving for cover. "This is not subtle," Jiwoo shouted over the chaos. "I noticed." They ducked into a side corridor, then another, working their way deeper into the station. Behind them, they could hear shouts, "Security," or worse, Vrelian soldiers. They turned a corner and nearly collided with a woman in a lab coat. She had a scanner in one hand and was studying it with intense focus. She looked up, saw Baram, and instead of running, her eyes went wide with excitement. "Oh my stars," she breathed. "Is that really a Vrex?" "We don't have time," Daeho started. "You're the one from Haven's Rest. The human who bonded with a Vrex." The woman grabbed his arm. "I'm Min Seo-yoon, xenobiologist. I've been trying to find you." "Please, you have to let me study him. We're kind of in the middle of being chased." "I can help with that, come on." Min Seo took off down the corridor. After a moment's hesitation, Daeho and Jiwoo followed. With Baram at their heels, they plunged deeper into the station, into whatever came next. Min Seo's lab was hidden in the older sections of Hanara Station, behind layers of security that she bypassed with practiced ease. It was cramped, filled with equipment and specimen tanks, but it was safe. "For now, you'll be secure here," Min Seo said, sealing the door behind them. "This lab is registered under a false company name. Even if they search this section, they won't find anything suspicious." Daeho helped Baram settle into a corner. The Vrex was exhausted from running, his injured leg obviously paining him. "Why are you helping us?" "Because you're the most important scientific discovery in a century, and you don't even realize it." Min Seo was already setting up scanners, her hands moving with excited energy. A human bonding with a Vrex showing pack behavior. "Do you understand what this means?" "That I'm insane?" Daeho offered. "That everything we thought we knew about Vrex is wrong." Min Seo looked at Baram with something close to wonder. "May I examine him?" "I promise to be gentle." Daeho looked at Baram. "What do you think? Can she look at you?" Baram tilted his head, studying Min Seo. Then he moved closer to her, lowering his head in what might have been permission. Min Seo's breath caught. Did he just understand you? He usually does. For the next hour, Min Seo ran tests. Blood samples, neural scans, genetic analysis. Baram tolerated it all with patient stillness, occasionally looking at Daeho as if checking that this was okay. Jiwoo stood guard at the door, monitoring security channels on her communicator. "The Vrelians are tearing the station apart looking for you. They've offered a bounty. A big one. How big?" Daeho asked. 3 million credits big." Daeho whistled. "That's a lot of money." "Someone will talk," Jiwoo said grimly. "Someone always talks for that kind of money." "Then we need to move fast." Min Seo looked up from her scanner and her expression was troubled. "I've analyzed his genetic code. This is worse than I thought." "What do you mean?" "Vrex aren't naturally solitary apex predators. They were once, but centuries ago." Min Seo pulled up a display showing genetic sequences. "See these markers? These are suppressed pack bonding genes. The Vrelian collective deliberately bred them out. They wanted fighters, not companions. Soldiers, not family units. Deho felt sick. They made them alone on purpose. Yes, a Vrex that could form bonds would be useless in the arena. It would hesitate to kill. It would show mercy. So they removed the capacity for connection entirely. Mincio looked at Barum. But your friend here is a genetic throwback. Somehow his pack-bonding genes weren't suppressed. He has the capacity that his species once had, the capacity to choose his pack. And he chose Deho, Jiwoo said softly. Exactly. You didn't tame him. You gave him permission to be what he naturally should be. Mincio sat back. This changes everything. If we can prove that Vrex are naturally social creatures, that the Vrelians deliberately suppressed their nature to exploit them, it would be proof of slavery, Jiwoo finished. It would be an interstellar incident. A sharp knock on the door made everyone freeze. A woman's voice called through. I know you're in there. Don't worry, I'm not security. I'm something much worse. I'm an information broker who knows your secret. Jiwoo's hand went to her weapon. Mincio moved to open the door, but Jiwoo stopped her.
How do we know we can trust her?
You don't. But I'm the one who's been spreading the video of your cargo bay fight across the galactic net. So maybe invite me in before someone less friendly finds you. Deho and Jiwoo exchanged looks. Finally, Deho nodded. Mincio opened the door. The woman who entered was young, late 20s, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Borahan, pleased to meet you. Nice Vrex, he always this calm. Only when people aren't actively trying to kill him, Deho said warily. What do you want? To help, maybe. Depends on if you're smart enough to accept it. Bora pulled out a small device projecting a holographic display. It showed a video, the fight in the cargo bay on Haven's Rest. Barum attacking the Vrelian soldiers but stopping at Deho's command, gently carrying the wounded Jiwoo. That's not public, Jiwoo said sharply. It is now. I released it 3 hours ago. It's already been viewed 50 million times. The comments are interesting. Bora scrolled through them. Half think it's fake. A quarter think you're a hero. The rest think you're insane. But everyone's talking about it. Why would you do that? Deho demanded. Because the Vrelian collective has been getting away with this for too long. Because slavery hidden behind pretty words is still slavery. And because sometimes the best way to protect someone is to make them too famous to disappear quietly. Bora looked at him seriously. The Vrelians wanted this quiet. They wanted to retrieve their property and make you vanish. I made that impossible. Now the whole galaxy is watching. Mincio was studying the comments on the video. Look at this. There are messages from other stations. From fighting rings. From Vrex slaves. Deho leaned over her shoulder reading. The messages were short, desperate. Is it true? Can they really be free? How do we escape? Please help us. His chest tightened. They're reaching out. You've given them hope, Bora said. Congratulations. You're now a symbol of resistance. How does it feel? Terrifying, Deho admitted. Good. It should be. Because the Vrelian collective just declared you a terrorist. They're demanding your extradition. 3 different governments are considering it. And the other governments? Jiwoo asked. 3 others are offering asylum. The Zenarian Alliance in particular is very interested in your friend. Bora's expression was hard to read. They want to replicate what you've done. Free more Vrex, use them against the Vrelian collective. Use them, Deho repeated. So they'd just be slaves to a different master. Maybe. Or maybe you could negotiate better terms. Make sure any freed Vrex actually get freedom. Bora shrugged. Your choice. But you're running out of time. The bounty is up to 5 million now. Someone will sell you out soon. As if summoning it by speaking, an explosion rocked the lab. Alarms blared throughout the station. They found us, Jiwoo said, moving to the door. Not the Vrelians. Bora checked her communicator, face paling. Worse, bounty hunters. A whole team of them. They just blasted through station security to get to this section. How many? Mincio asked. 12. Maybe more. All heavily armed. Bora looked at Deho. They're coming for your friend. And they don't care about taking him alive. The bounty says recovered, not unharmed. Barum growled low, sensing the danger. He moved to stand between Deho and the door, every muscle tensed. We need to move, Jiwoo said. Now, where? Deho looked around frantically. We're trapped in here. Mincio was already at her computer. There's an emergency maintenance shaft that connects to the environmental systems. It's tight, but it leads to the lower docks. If we can get there, another explosion closer this time. Shouting in the corridor. Weapons fire. No time for a plan, Bora said, drawing her own weapon. We fight or we run. Pick one. Deho looked at Barum. The Vrex was powerful, capable of incredible violence. He could fight. He could tear through those bounty hunters. It was what he had been bred to do. But Deho had spent days teaching him something different. Teaching him that he could choose. That he could be more than a weapon. We run, Deho decided. Baramgara, stay with me. They ran for the maintenance shaft as the lab door exploded inward. Behind them, bounty hunters poured into the room, weapons blazing. And somewhere in the chaos, Deho realized that his quiet life was truly over. But looking at Baram running beside him, trusting him completely, he couldn't bring himself to regret it. The maintenance shaft was barely wide enough for Baram. The Vrex squeezed through, his scales scraping against metal as they descended toward the lower docks. Behind them, they could hear the bounty hunters trying to follow. They're too big to fit through easily, Jiwoo said, breathing hard. That'll slow them down. Not enough, Bora replied. They'll just blow through the walls. We have maybe 5 minutes. They emerged into the lower docks, a section of Hanara Station reserved for cargo vessels and repair ships. It was quieter here, less crowded. But that also meant fewer places to hide. Min Seo's communicator buzzed. She checked it and her eyes widened. The Xenarian Alliance just sent a message. They're offering immediate asylum if we can get to their embassy section. It's protected by treaty. The Vrelians can't touch us there. How far? Deho asked. 12 sections. Maybe 15 minutes at a run. We'll never make it, Jiwoo said. Not with bounty hunters on our tail and half the station looking for us. We have to try, Deho said. He looked at Baram. The Vrex was tired, his injured leg clearly bothering him. But his eyes were alert, trusting. Garabaram, we're almost safe. I promise. They ran through the docks, keeping to the shadows. Twice they had to hide from station security patrols. Once they nearly ran into a Vrelian soldier, but each time they managed to slip past. They were 3 sections from the Xenarian embassy when everything went wrong. Commander Kesiva stepped out in front of them, flanked by a dozen Vrelian soldiers. All had weapons drawn. End of the line, human, Kesiva said. You have led us on quite a chase, but it is over now. Baram snarled, moving to put himself between Deho and the soldiers. Kesiva laughed. Still pretending it is tame? Still playing at being its friend? He pulled out a small device. This is a pain inducer, specially designed for controlling Vrex specimens. When I activate it, every nerve in its body will scream. It will remember what it truly is, a weapon. Our weapon. Don't, Deho pleaded. Please, he's not your property. He's alive. It feels nothing that we did not program into it. Kesiva activated the device. Baram collapsed with a roar of agony. His body convulsed, claws digging into the floor. Deho ran to him, dropping to his knees beside the Vrex. Turn it off. You're killing him. No, I am reminding him of his place. Kesiva watched coldly. You thought you could steal from us. You thought you could take years of investment, millions of credits in breeding and make it into a pet. You are a fool. Deho pressed his hands against Baram's head, feeling the creature trembling. Gwenchana, he whispered desperately. Gwenchana, Baram, I'm here. I'm right here. Touching, Kesiva said, but pointless. When the pain becomes too much, it will lash out. It will kill you, just like they all do eventually. But Baram didn't lash out. Despite the pain racking his body, despite every instinct screaming at him to fight, to destroy, to kill anything nearby, Baram pressed his head against Deho's chest. Seeking comfort, seeking the one being in the universe who had shown him kindness. Kesiva's smile faded. Impossible. He's choosing, Minseo said softly, watching with tears in her eyes. Even in pain, he's choosing not to hurt. Because that's what you taught him, Deho. You taught him he could choose. Turn it off, Deho shouted at Kesiva. You've proven nothing except that you're cruel. Turn it off! No, I will turn it up. I will break this bond you think you have. Kesiva adjusted the device. Baram's roar became a scream. A weapon fired, not from the Vrelians. From behind Deho, the pain device exploded in Kesiva's hand. The commander stumbled back, clutching his burned fingers. Sunny emerged from a side corridor, weapon smoking. Sorry I'm late. got held up by station security. Anyone miss me? More weapons fire erupted. Jiwoo and Bora returned fire, forcing the Vrelians to take cover. Minseo pulled Daeho away from the firefight, helping him drag Baram to safety behind a cargo container. Is he okay? Minseo asked. Baram was shaking, but the pain had stopped. His eyes found Daeho's face, and in them was confusion, hurt, but also trust. Still trust. You didn't attack me, Daeho said, touching the Rex's face gently. You could have. The pain was terrible, but you didn't because you chose not to. Enough of this. Kesava stood, weapon raised. All of you will be arrested. That specimen will be returned to Vrelian custody, and you, human, will learn what happens to thieves. Actually, a new voice said, calm and carrying authority. I'm afraid that won't be happening. A woman in formal diplomatic robes stepped into view, flanked by Xenarian Alliance guards. She was tall, elegant, with the distinctive features of the Xenarian species. I am Ambassador Sella of the Xenarian Alliance. These individuals have been granted asylum under treaty law. You have no authority here, Commander. They are criminals.
They are refugees.
There is a difference. The ambassador looked at Daeho and Baram. And more importantly, they have exposed a practice that violates 17 different interstellar laws regarding sentient life forms. The Vrex are not sentient. They are animals. Then why do you need pain inducers to control them? Why breed out pack-bonding instincts? Why suppress genetic traits that would allow for social development? The ambassador's voice was sharp. You have admitted through your own actions that Vrex are capable of more than you claim. You have enslaved a sentient species, and now the entire galaxy knows it. She gestured, and a holographic display appeared. It showed Baram in the midst of terrible pain choosing not to harm Daeho, choosing gentleness over violence, choosing his pack over his programming. This footage is currently being broadcast across every major network. The outcry has already begun. 3 governments have severed diplomatic ties with the Vrelian collective. 7 more are considering it. The ambassador looked at Kesava coldly. Your people have a choice, and the Vrex breeding programs. Grant them legal status as sentient beings, or face complete isolation from the galactic community. Kesava's face twisted with rage, but he was beaten and he knew it. He gestured sharply to his soldiers. Fall back. This is not over. Yes, the ambassador said quietly. It is. The Vrelians retreated. Silence fell over the dock, broken only by Baram's labored breathing. Daeho held the Vrex close, feeling the massive creature's heartbeat gradually slow from panicked to calm. We're safe now, he whispered. We're actually safe. The ambassador approached carefully. My government offers you sanctuary. All of you. A place to recover, to plan your next steps. And Mr. Kim, if you are willing, we would like to work with you, to help free other Vrex, to give them the same choice you gave Baram. Not as weapons, Daeho said immediately. No, never as weapons, as people. As individuals capable of choosing their own path. She smiled slightly. You have already started a revolution, whether you intended to or not. We are simply offering to help you finish it. Daeho looked at his friends. Jiwoo, who had risked everything to help him. Sunny, who had flown into danger without hesitation. Minseo, who had proven the truth of what Baram was. Bora, who had made sure the galaxy saw what really happened. And Baram, the creature who should have been a monster but chose to be something more. Okay, Daeho said. Let's do it. Let's help them all. 6 months passed. The Xenarian Alliance established a sanctuary world for freed Vrex. 17 had escaped the fighting rings and made it to safety. More were coming every week. Daeho worked as a liaison, helping the newly freed Vrex adjust to their freedom. It was hard work. Many had been alone for so long, they barely remembered how to interact socially. Many were damaged, traumatized, struggling with years of abuse. But slowly they learned. They formed small packs. They began to trust. And they started to heal. Baram was key to this. He helped the others understand that pack bonds were possible, that gentleness was strength, not weakness, that they could choose who they wanted to be. Daeho sat in a garden on the sanctuary world watching the sunset. Baram lay beside him, massive head resting on Daeho's lap. A comfortable silence stretched between them. Movement caught his eye. A newly freed Vrex approached hesitantly. She was smaller than Baram, her scales marked with scars from countless fights. She had arrived 2 days ago, terrified and angry. Daeho pulled out a ration pack. Are you hungry? he asked gently in Korean. The Vrex stared at the food, at him, at Barum, who lifted his head and made a soft, encouraging sound. Slowly, carefully, she took a step forward, then another. Deho smiled. It's okay. You're safe here. No one will hurt you, and if you want, you can learn what it means to be part of a pack again. The Vrex reached out and took the food from his hand. She ate carefully, watching them, and in her eyes Deho saw the first glimmer of hope. They had a long way to go. The Vrelian collective hadn't given up. There were still thousands of Vrex in captivity. The fight was far from over. But sitting here in this garden with Baram at his side and a new friend slowly learning to trust, Deho felt something he hadn't felt in years. He felt like he was home, and more importantly, he had helped others find their home too. Guyanchana, he whispered to the new Vrex. You're going to be okay. I promise. And watching her slowly relax, seeing the fear fade from her eyes, he believed it. They were all going to be okay, finally.